Have you ever seen the movie Leave the World Behind? It's a great watch. It's quite frightening when you look at today's geopolitical climate of, the United States for one, but also of the world and where we stand with the world. They don't like us right now, rightfully so. Let's get into it. I'm gonna first start off with a summary of the movie. So, Leave the World Behind follows the Sanfords, a middle class family from New York who rent a luxury home on Long Island for a weekend getaway. Their vacation is interrupted late at night when the owners of the house, G.H., and his daughter, Ruth, return unexpectedly, claiming a massive blackout has hit the city. At first, the two families don't trust each other, but as strange events escalate, phones losing service, the internet dying, GPS failing, planes crashing, ships running aground, animals behaving unnaturally, it becomes clear that something catastrophic is happening on a national scale. The characters slowly realize they're witnessing a coordinated attack on the United States, a cyber-based collapse designed to destabilize society from the inside out. With communication gone and no reliable information, paranoia grows. The families struggle to cooperate as fear, class tension, and racial distrust intensify. The crisis worsens when the Sanford son is bitten by a tick and becomes sick, forcing the group to seek help. Meanwhile, the world outside descends into chaos, cars pile up, people panic, and the infrastructure of modern life unravels. The film ends on an ambiguous note. The characters are separated, the country is collapsing, and the audience is left with the unsettling realization that the real danger isn't just the attack, it's how quickly society falls apart when the systems we rely on disappear. I would like to continue this and say, there are so many similarities to today's times. One of the factors is the car pile up. They go and they are stuck behind all these cars, and they step and start walking out, and suddenly all the cars start rolling down the freeway like at 100 miles per hour. These are all like electric cars similar to Teslas in the movie, and they just crash into each other on this highway. Why? Because, those are electric and someone hacked them essentially, as well as, the collapse of the grid. So the other parallel I would like to state is we are currently in the biggest rise of Lyme disease and ticks in the U.S. I don't even know since when. It hadn't been all that present for a really long time, and the theory is they're releasing ticks that essentially have alpha gal or cause alpha gal syndrome, which is galactose alpha galactose. It affects your ability to absorb that, and so essentially you won't be able to eat red meat. I find that to be fascinating, but let's go down the list, starting at the cyber attack, digital collapse. In the film, phones lose service, internet dies, GPS stops working, TV and radio go silent, planes fall from the sky, the attack is invisible, no bombs, no soldiers, just silence. Symbolic meaning. Modern civilization is a digital organism. Kill the nervous system and the body collapses. The enemy doesn't need to invade, they just unplug you. Real world parallel. Critical infrastructure, power grid, water systems, hospitals, banking, heavily digitized. They all rely on electricity now. How long has it been since you actually used cash, for example? Our currencies is based on electronic systems. Hospitals rely so much on electronic systems. Water systems, power grid, that one's pretty self-explanatory. You need energy to essentially do that. When you cut the energy, you lose access to your running water. Real world parallel. Okay, we already did that. Cyber attacks on pipelines, hospitals, and government systems have already happened. Experts warn that a coordinated attack could cause cascading failures exactly like the film. The first stage of collapse is not violence, it's disconnection. Animals acting strange, specifically deer in the movie. In the film, deer gather unnaturally in huge numbers. They stare unblinking as if they are watching the humans. It's unsettling because it's wrong. Nature is out of rhythm. Symbolic meaning. Animals sense environmental or electromagnetic disturbances before humans. They represent the old world, reacting to the collapse of the new world. They're a mirror. Nature is calm. Humans are panicking. Real world parallel. Wildlife behavior changes before earthquakes, storms, and environmental shifts. Urbanization pushes animals into strange patterns. Climate change disrupts migration and breeding cycles. When nature acts strange, it's not the beginning, it's the warning. Lyme disease and ticks. In the film, the son gets bitten by a tick. The doctor warns that Lyme disease is spreading aggressively. It's a subtle hint that biological threats are part of the collapse. Symbolic meaning. Slow creeping threats are more dangerous than dramatic ones. Collapse isn't always explosive, sometimes it's microbial. Nature becomes hostile when systems break down. Real-world parallel. Lyme disease cases have risen sharply in the U.S., as I said earlier. Ticks are expanding due to warmer climates. Public health systems are strained, making outbreaks harder to manage. Collapse doesn't always come with explosions. Sometimes it comes with a bite. Cars piling up, traffic chaos. In the film, cars crash and pile up on highways. People abandon vehicles, GPS failure, and panic equals gridlock. Symbolic meaning. Mobility is freedom. When mobility dies, society freezes. Cars represent autonomy. Losing them represents helplessness. Chaos spreads fastest when people try to flee at the same time. Real-world parallel. Evacuations during hurricanes show how quickly roads fail. GPS dependency means people can't navigate without techs. That's very true. Panic behavior amplifies danger more than the disaster itself. The moment everyone tries to escape at once, escape becomes impossible. Now, I'd like to also state, these were electric vehicles that were just like crashing into all the other vehicles that piled up. And the whatever GPS system within the electric vehicles was just like going crazy. They hacked that, and it almost kills the protagonists in the film. Ships crashing into shore. In the film, massive cargo ships drift off course and crash into the beach. No navigation, no communication, no control. Symbolic meaning. Global trade is the bloodstream of modern civilization. When the digital systems guiding it fail, the physical world collapses. The ships are metaphors for globalization drifting into chaos. Real-world parallel. Global shipping relies entirely on GPS and automated systems. A cyber attack on maritime navigation would cripple supply chains. The Ever Given incident showed how one blockage can disrupt the world. When the ships stop moving, the world stops breathing. Now, I think there's a huge parallel here with real life now that wasn't mentioned in this, and that would be the Strait of Hormuz is blocked right now because there's a war between the United States. There's a war between Israel, United States, and Iran, and essentially the United States has blocked vessels from entering and exiting the Strait of Hormuz at this point, which is controlled by Iran, and I believe it's like 20% of the world's oil. I think it's more than that, but is controlled by Iran, and the majority of the world's oil has to pass the Strait of Hormuz to then go to everybody else. And you have countries like Cuba due to blockades of the United States has essentially collapsed because they haven't had energy for probably a month and a half, 2 months. And they're out of reserves as far as their oil, and they're entirely oil dependent. You have countries like Australia and the Philippines that have ran out of food, and not Australia's ran out of food. Philippines is running out of food. I haven't heard that they have yet, and they're not getting any oil. India, you have people fighting over gas. It's just craziness. All right, planes falling from the sky. In the film, a plane crashes in the distance. Later, more fall. It's the most dramatic sign that the digital world has died. Symbolic meaning. Air travel is the pinnacle of modern coordination. When it fails, it signals total systemic collapse. It's the sky itself falling, a mythic symbol of cosmic disorder. Real-world parallel. Planes rely on GPS, communication towers, and digital systems. A coordinated cyber attack could theoretically disrupt aviation. Even small outages cause nationwide delays. When the sky becomes unsafe, the ground becomes unrecognizable. Psychological breakdown. Social distrust. In the film, the families don't trust each other. Race, class, and fear amplify paranoia. The real collapse is psychological. Society collapses from the inside before the outside. Fear turns neighbors into threats. Trust is the first causality of crisis. Real-world parallel. Polarization, misinformation, and institutional distrust are at historic highs. People increasingly live in separate realities. Social cohesion is fragile. The world doesn't fall apart when systems fail. It falls apart when people stop believing in each other. And that is the most imperative part of the movie. Why does civilization work? It works because of people. It works because people agree upon, I want a better life, and therefore I'm going to have to rely on other people in order to achieve that. You don't solely rely on technology for a better life. After all, it takes people to make technology. It takes people to do jobs. Think about that. Food, for example. Yeah, sure, you could be a sole farmer on a ranch and spend all day, growing and making your own food and storing it and all that. I have considered that option in a way. But you still need to, in this modern world, you have to sell the food. If you're in the majority, you live and you go to the grocery store and someone has to work at the grocery store, someone has to stock those foods, someone has to buy the food to then be stocked, and someone has to manage the whole operation, someone has to build the building, someone has to, so we rely on people to do jobs. That's the key. So I think that's where I'm going to end it. Just a fascinating little movie that has everything to do with today's world. So may God bless you. Praise be to the Lord. Much love and much appreciation if you made it this far. Adios.